Chapter 1880, One Settlement. Li Chonggong and Xiao Lai started a fierce battle in the sky above the command center building. The battle between the two black chariot-level aliens instantly attracted the attention of the entire Chongin city. Until this time, Li Chonggong's troops discovered the chaos here, and they hurriedly began to rush over here. However, the officers on Xiao Lai's side were also using their strength to stop them from coming. The key to the war lies in Li Chonggong and Xiao Lai. Xiao Lai must win. Otherwise, even if Li Chonggong escaped, he would mobilize troops to quell the rebellion in the name of the Supreme Commander. Xiao Lai was extremely calm at this moment. Now that it had come to this, there was no need to think too much. Just fight. He used the power of Metal Frenzy to the fullest, using various weapons one after another to launch a chaotic attack on Li Chonggong. Faced with such an attack, Li Chonggong knew that it was just an appearance. The knife in his hand happened to be the biggest enemy of Xiao Lai's weapon attack. Xiao Lai came to a building and placed his right hand on it. In an instant, the entire building began to move as if it had come alive. The black building turned into a huge black python, which pounced towards Li Chonggong with a gesture from Xiao Lai. Li Chonggong's eyes were cold, and he drew the beautiful word in the air with his hands, directly cutting the building into pieces. But Xiao Lai had taken advantage of the situation to hide in the shadow of the building. When the building fell, he suddenly rushed out and punched Li Chonggong hard. If this punch hits, it will definitely cause unimaginable serious injuries to Li Chonggong. He did not use weapons like swords, and the battle with Li Chonggong was meaningless. On the contrary, fists and feet are more flexible. Damn traitor. Li Chonggong had just used up all the power of his sword, but now he had no choice but to turn around and slash diagonally, heading straight for Xiao Lai's lower body. Swish! The sharp blade light cut through the sky, but unexpectedly, this blade, which was so fast that it was unimaginable, missed. Xiao Lai dodged Li Chonggong's attack and smashed his fist as big as a casserole directly at his head. The terrifying power of that fist made Li Chonggong's heart beat wildly. He didn't expect that this guy's strength had reached such a level. Li Chonggong was unwilling to risk his life with Xiao Lai. Originally, he could take the opportunity to chop Xiao Lai with his left-handed knife, but if he failed, his head would be smashed. So he chose to dodge. Call. The fist just barely grazed his head, and the strong wind shattered his tactical helmet directly. The energy of this punch alone was enough to destroy a tall tower not far away. A smile appeared on Xiao Lai's lips. You're afraid of death, aren't you? Don't be afraid. After seeing through Li Chonggong's cowardly nature, Xiao Lai directly engaged him in close combat. Li Chonggong's sword was indeed powerful, but after strengthening his body, Xiao Lai's speed was so fast that he became an afterimage. Even within the range of Li Chonggong's blade, he could dodge nimbly. At this point, the attacks from both sides could take the other's life. But in just a small space, no one can gain an advantage. At times like this, the competition is about who can keep calm and who has more courage. So at this time, Xiao Lai, who was desperate and had a vengeful heart, gained the upper hand. Li Chonggong, this punch is to avenge Commander Luo Yunfeng. For a kid who was born as a junior officer to die with you, a descendant of a famous family, I can say that I have no regrets in death. Xiao Lai figured out Li Chonggong's tactics and became more and more courageous as the fight went on. Li Chonggong felt increasingly heavy in his heart because he didn't want to die, and he didn't want to exchange his life with the guy in front of him. In a hurry, he shouted, Xiao Lai, are you crazy? If you all die, the Northwest region will be finished. Stop, we can discuss it. I can make you the deputy commander, and all the subordinates in the Northwest region can share with you. Don't fight anymore. Xiao Lai was not moved at all. Oh, do you really think you are a fool? Even if you die in battle, new guardians will be born in this land. You are just occupying more resources. There is no shortage of resources in the world. It doesn't matter whether Xiao Lai dies or not, but you, Li Chonggong, must disappear. Call. His huge fist smashed directly towards Li Changgong's head, but after Li Changgong dodged sideways, the burst of energy destroyed half of the street. The two men fought to a fierce point, and many buildings in the city center were destroyed. The battle was extremely dangerous. If either of them let out a sigh of relief, they would be killed by the other side. Even the soldiers who came to support had forgotten what they were supposed to do. The generals of all parties stopped their advance in tacit understanding, because Di Fei and others called them according to Xiao Lai's instructions. I just said to them, "The revolution has failed, and it is you who died. You will not be punished. You can't decide anything on the current battlefield, so don't move forward. We don't want to see bloodshed." Li Changgong's sword flashed across the sky above Chongin City, and Xiao Lai's fists pressed forward step by step, as if he was ready to fight for his life. In fact, Xiao Lai's strength was not as good as Li Changgong's, but Li Changgong was tricked by them and consumed a lot of his physical strength in advance, making it difficult for him to concentrate. In addition, Xiao Lai was fearless and fought with a life-risking approach, which gave him the upper hand. Soon, Li Changgong found that the situation on the battlefield was seriously unfavorable to him. In a close combat, it was difficult for him to use his long sword, and Xiao Lai was almost fighting close to his body. He had the urge to fight Xiao Lai to the death many times, but after considering the consequences, he still did not have the courage to do so. Just as he was struggling, Xiao Lai suddenly shouted, "Li Changgong, go underground and apologize to Commander Luo Yunfeng." This sentence confused Li Changgong's mind. When he came to his senses, Xiao Lai's fist had already hit his chest. Li Changgong dodged in a hurry, but was hit hard on the shoulder. How powerful is the Black Chariot class Enhanced Mutant? A 2-story building can be pulled directly out of the ground. So when the punch hit Li Changgong's shoulder, the shoulder was not broken as imagined. Instead, he smashed his shoulder directly, causing blood foam. Puff. Even with the protection of the combat uniform, and even though Li Changgong's body was protected by supernatural powers, he was no longer able to stop this powerful force after fighting for a long time. So his left arm was shattered into pieces. Li Changgong endured the severe pain. His expression was extremely ferocious, and he raised the knife in his hand to chop towards Xiao Lai's head. But at this moment, extremely complicated thoughts suddenly emerged in his mind. He thought of the disgust on the officers' faces when they looked at him. He thought of the extremely disappointed expression on the face of the old coach Luo Yunfeng when he was forced to abdicate by him. Once upon a time, Luo Yunfeng trained him very carefully and regarded him as his successor. It's just that he couldn't wait any longer. If he really fought with Xiao Lai here, the best outcome would be Xiao Lai's death and him being seriously injured. The Northwest region will really suffer a great loss. The severe pain in his body made his brain clearer. He did not drop his knife, but chose to turn around and flee out of Chongin City. How could Xiao Lai let him leave? Chasing closely behind. At this moment, there was a sound of a hurricane in the distant sky, and an owl, 6-fighter jet came through the air like a hawk in the night sky. Xiao Lai had never seen this machine before because it was Li Changgong's special vehicle. Not everyone is Zhang Yi, possessing unparalleled spatial displacement capabilities. Even for Epsilon, long-distance travel still requires the use of transportation. The energy of the combat suit can sustain for short time and short-distance flight, but it can never last long. This fighter plane was prepared by Li Changgong for himself in case of emergency. His left arm was completely disabled, but fortunately the tactical bandage in his combat uniform helped him tighten the wound and prevent the blood from continuing to flow. The swollen repair foam also isolated his body from the cold air outside, preventing further necrosis. A fighter plane flew in from a distance, opened the hatch accurately, and caught Li Changgong. Although Xiao Lai wanted to chase after it, no matter how fast he was, he could not be faster than this super fighter plane that traveled several times the speed of sound. Unconsciously, he immediately gave orders to the missile troops. Aim at that fighter plane immediately and launch a homing missile. But General Xiao Lai, you don't have the authority to mobilize missile troops without the permission of the Supreme Commander. The person in charge of the missile unit also knew what happened in Chongin City, but rules are rules, and as a soldier, he only acts according to the military regulations. Xiao Lai watched Li Chonggong fly away from Chongin City and stay in the air for a long time before he gave up chasing him. Without killing Li Chonggong, he really couldn't mobilize the entire Northwest region's troops. But so what? Now he and the officers in his alliance have gained control of the command center. Li Chonggong's perverse actions during this period have caused many people to express dissatisfaction. If he wins, others will naturally side with him. Xiao Lai landed on the city wall of Chongin. The soldiers guarding the city nearby looked at him in surprise, but immediately saluted after recognizing him. Xiao Lai took a surface-to-air shoulder-fired missile launcher from a soldier and pointed it to the side. He can use the energy of Metal Frenzy to amplify the weapon, making it as powerful as a large missile. But after thinking for a moment, he put it down. It's basically impossible to kill Li Chonggong at such a long distance. As he was seriously injured, he did not dare to return in a short time. So now, what he needs to do is to completely control the entire Chongin city. With Chongin in his hands, the Northwest region would be his possession. Xiao Lai's legs kicked up on the ground, and he flew towards the center of Chongin city like an arrow. Not long after, he arrived at the command center building. When he was in the sky, he had already seen that the streets of the city were crowded with armored troops who were coming to help suppress the rebellion. Xiao Lai only did one thing. He sent voice messages to the leaders of various troops. The battle is over, and the night of revolution has passed peacefully. These words announced that he had defeated Li Chonggong and successfully seized the highest power in Chongin City. When the military officers and administrative officials heard the news, they immediately changed their attitudes and began to express their congratulations to Xiao Lai. Many people directly scolded Li Chonggong for his perverse and evil deeds and sincerely thanked Xiao Lai and others for overthrowing the tyrant Li Chonggong. Some people are worried that things may change, so they don't speak easily and are still waiting and watching. Xiao Lai didn't care about that. He landed in front of the command center building, and the officers who followed him in the rebellion immediately surrounded him. Xiao Lai met their nervous gazes and smiled faintly. "What's with that expression on your face? Didn't I tell you that I can definitely do it?" There was a burst of excited cheers all around, and they rushed over and lifted Xiao Lai high up. Whether it was for justice or for fame and fortune, they all won great victories. Xiao Lai was not in a hurry to celebrate. Instead, he asked them to take over the military command of the entire Chongin city. "Call the heads of all departments here. Those who are willing to obey us will be allowed to do so. If they are willing, we will send them to hell." Xiao Lai is vigorous and resolute in his work. This is not just a dinner invitation, but also a life and death struggle. If Chongin City wants to be stable, there must be only one voice in the army. He would make the same mistake as Li Chonggong and leave behind those who recognize them in their hearts. Just take advantage of this revolutionary night to clean up everything in one fell swoop. Di Fei and the others were delighted. They straightened their backs and began to give orders. The whole Chongin city is extremely lively tonight. However, without Li Chonggong, no one else could compete with Xiao Lai. However, after a while, Xiao Lai received a communication message. He looked and saw that it was sent by Li Chonggong. Xiao Lai's eyes turned serious, but he still answered his call. Li Chonggong's slightly panting voice was heard from the other end of the communication device. "Xiao Lai, you are so brave. How dare you rebel?" Xiao Lai could hear Li Chonggong's grievances, and he could only sneer. Same here, same here. Okay. You win this time, but do you think things can be solved so easily? I am still the king of the Northwest, and you took away the Northwest region. A mocking smile appeared on Xiao Lai's face. King of the Northwest? Li Chonggong, do you really think you are a noble? You're so embarrassed. The reason you can always speak in the Northwest region is simply because you have the strength. Bloodline? Status? Those things that are beyond the reach of strength. You don't have the qualifications to be an excellent commander. No one in the Northwest region likes a guy with mood swings. Li Chonggong shouted angrily. Nonsense. You are still the same? Do you think you can convince people and win their hearts just because you are the commander? You are too self-righteous. I am the same as you. Xiao Lai's expression turned serious. I fight you. It's always for myself. It's for the sake of rectifying the chaos, so that everyone in the Northwest region can exert their abilities. Let the people in the Northwest region live in peace. He looked behind him and saw some officers from the army rushing over to greet him. Xiao Lai waved at them and told them to go about their own business. Li Changgong's voice was clearly made with gnashing of teeth. Haha, you must tell me that you will become the supreme commander of the Northwest region. Xiao Lai sighed. I told you, I'm the same as you. I am indeed good at managing the Northwest region. I am just a pure soldier, and I don't know how to manage such a large region. Fortunately, I have many excellent people around me who will help me manage this place. Li Changgong, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. But it's too early for you to be complacent. He wanted to continue uttering harsh words, but when the words reached his throat, he suddenly stopped. Xiao Lai, I hope you won't vent your anger on other people for the grudge between us. I didn't clean up the old commanders left behind. So, I hope you will carry out a major cleanup in the Northwest region. Li Changgong revealed his true purpose. He now needs to find a place to recuperate and then consider what to do next. However, what he was most worried about was that his trusted aides would be purged by Xiao Lai. There are many of his relatives in Chongin City. Xiao Lai said, as long as they behave themselves and make trouble, I will kill them. Xiao Lai ended the call and immediately told Chen Jiahao, Di Fei, and others. All those who are related to Li Changgong will be stripped of their duties and imprisoned. Remember, you want to harm their lives. The transition of power was very harmonious, and Li Changgong had already caused dissatisfaction among many people. He was moody and always suspicious of others. Because he was worried that his position would be taken away, he arrested a large number of gifted people, so some people had long hoped that he would step down. After Xiao Lai's team takes office today, as long as the others are loyal to Li Changgong, they can retain their original positions. For them, having one madman removed and replacing him with a general who has a better reputation and high prestige in the army as the supreme commander can only be a good thing. On Li Changgong's side, he was the only one on the fighter plane, and the intelligence system was controlling the flight of the fighter plane. The sudden blow he received made him very sad. He had never thought that he, the dignified king of the Northwest, would be attacked by the outside world, lose his status, and be betrayed by the people below. He had misjudged him. Even though he knew Xiao Lai was a man of outstanding talent, he still underestimated him. If he had known this earlier, perhaps he should have taken action to suppress it earlier. I need to calm down. The situation hasn't gotten completely bad yet. The commander of the Northwest region recognized by the 6 regions is still me. The people of the Northwest region also recognize me. As long as I recover from my injuries, I can go back to seek revenge on Xiao Lai. This time, he only used a despicable sneak attack, and no one will obey him. When the time comes, I can wave my arm and wipe them all out. But right now, the most important thing is to find a place with good medical conditions to recover. The medical conditions on the fighter plane were relatively ordinary. Although the bleeding was stopped, his left arm was completely shattered. Only by finding a higher-level medical expert will there be a chance to reattach a severed limb. After much thought, he decided that the best place to go now was to fly southeast to find Zhang Yi. Beside Zhang Yi, there is such a doctor who is extremely excellent in both medical skills and supernatural powers. Li Changgong gritted his teeth and finally chose to contact Zhang Yi. Although there are some conflicts between them, they are not big problems. At most, Li Changgong is jealous of Zhang Yi. If I ask him for help now, I think Zhang Yi will refuse. Li Changgong did 2 things. The first thing was to report Xiao Lai's rebellion to the other 5 districts. The first thing was to contact Zhang Yi, hoping to go to him for treatment. When this news came out, the 5 major districts were very surprised. They didn't expect that there was a hidden dragon in the Northwest region. Everyone's tone was very stern. Meng said, at this critical moment, the whole country is working hard to overcome the difficulties. It is abominable that some people are carrying out armed struggle internally. Zhu Zheng also said, "This matter must be taken seriously, otherwise it will set a bad precedent." Heads of other regions also expressed indignation. However, everyone just stayed at the level of words, and no one really proposed to borrow troops to help Li Changgong retake the Northwest region. After reading these speeches, Li Changgong felt a chill in his heart. At this time, he calmed down a little. Thinking about it carefully, he also realized that these guys were the ones who got up early, for no good reason. Xiao Lai's behavior in seizing the supreme commander of the Northwest region was no different from what he did back then. Besides, there was no major chaos in the Northwest region this time. So, for the entire Huashu Kingdom, it actually makes no difference who is the regional commander. Xiao Lai was also an outstanding alien who had performed well on the battlefield. Some people even think that he is a better candidate for commander-in-chief than the arrogant Li Changgong. Only Zhang Yi ignored the unrest in the Northwest region and simply told Li Changgong, "Come to Tianhai City." Tianhai City is still under reconstruction, and Zhang Yi has been preparing for war these days. But he was also very curious about the turmoil in the Northwest region. The reason why he agreed to let Li Changgong come was, on the one hand, treating his injuries was just a small matter. On the other hand, he really wanted to hear gossip. Li Changgong expressed his gratitude to Zhang Yi. "They say a friend in need is a friend indeed. I never thought you would be the first one to help me at a time like this. Just remember to owe me a favor," Zhang Yi said lightly. That evening, Xiao Lai also issued a notice to the heads of the 5 major districts. He denounced Li Changgong's evil deeds in the Northwest region over the past 3 years and said that after he came to power, he would strengthen cooperation with various regions. Zhang Yi glanced at it, smiled faintly, and didn't take it to heart. More than an hour later, the fighter plane hovered and landed in Tianhai City. Zhang Yi hosted him in a makeshift house. After getting off the plane, Li Changgong's face was pale, one arm was broken, his hair was disheveled, and his eye sockets were deeply sunken. Zhang Yi sighed and said to Li Changgong, "You have been hurt by alcohol and sex and have become so haggard. From now on, you should stop drinking." Li Changgong thought of his own absurd deeds and sighed helplessly. "Let me heal your wounds first." As long as Li Changgong is not dead, he can be cured. An Epsilon-class mutant with extremely strong vitality, he could be revived as long as he was able to breathe. Dear viewers, kindly subscribe if not already and like and comment on the video. Your help is really appreciated. Love you all.